In the first battle, we got a kill ratio of 3.4 to 1. And I wanted to talk about playing the campaign and what the kill ratio means. First of all, the goal is to wipe out the enemy army or inflict as many casualties as possible. And when you do this over the course of the campaign, the number we're really looking for is something around a ratio of 4 to 1. So I look at 4 to 1 as a marginal victory. 5 to 1 is a clear victory. So that means 3 to 1 is a draw. And 2 to 1 is a defeat. So you can get a victory in the battle. But if you get a 2 to 1 ratio in the battle, although you got a victory in the battle because you took the flag, for the campaign, it's a Pyrrhic victory, which means it's a defeat. You can't fight a campaign like I'm showing you here, trying to inflict max damage and drive down the enemy force pool and get 2 to 1, a 2 to 1 kill ratio. It's just not possible. You're going to take too many casualties. You're going to have to expend reputation to replace the men, and it's going to cost you a ton of money to replace the casualties. You're going to have to buy veterans. What I'm going to show you is by getting higher kill ratios, you will get so much experience in your units that you can replace all of your losses, almost all of your losses, with raw recruits, and the efficiency of the units will continue to go up. But if you get a 2 to 1 ratio, then you won't be able to do that. You'll have to buy veterans, or you'll lose efficiency in your units with every battle. So a 2 to 1 ratio is a defeat for the campaign. So what we have to do is we have to figure out ways to get 5 to 1, 6 to 1, 10 to 1 kill ratios in these battles. And that's what I'm going to show you. So the first couple of battles, you're pretty much locked in. There's not much you can do because your armies are very small and you don't have a lot of leeway. But after about the first 3 battles, after we get out of Shiloh, we can start to build an army that's going to inflict 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1 losses on the enemy and really start to grind down their numbers. After Antietam, it really becomes obvious that the enemy is the effects of the enemy losses really start to be felt. So hang in there, because the further the series goes on, the more you start to see the effect of playing a certain way and always thinking in terms of inflicting max damage on the enemy and taking the least amount of damage for yourself. But go into it with a mindset of 2 to 1 is a defeat. It's my experience that the enemy always gives you the option of putting all your men online and going straight for the flag into an enemy kill zone. And if you do that, you'll get 2 to 1. So if you just put everybody straight online in charge, you'll get a 2 to 1 kill ratio. And that looks okay because you took the flag, but the game is actually giving you the opportunity to throw men away by walking into a kill zone that is set up for you to take losses that you can't sustain. It's actually a trap. And what I'm encouraging you is to not fall into that trap. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start building an army, get a lot of units into the field, and start getting promotions for my officers and start building an officer corps and an army that's capable of fighting. So now we'll start with that. So thanks. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to go check how many units I can bring. So I do record the manpower pool the enemy has, and I have a pretty good idea of what the enemy is going to bring to the battle. Okay, that number that we see right there is not what we're going to see after we scale up. So by watching how the enemy scales up with us as we build our army, we're going to take all 3,300 guys and put them into our new army. And so the enemy's going to scale up as we do that, and that's interesting to pay attention to. So the first thing I want to show you is how to combine units in camp. So I'm going to combine Loomis and Walton into one unit because as it stands right now, that is they're too small to be effective, and I don't want to buy veterans for those two units, so I want to combine them. The other thing I want to do is I want to see, and I always do this, I see what weapons I have for free, and I see that I can build a cav unit. I have 366 free weapons. I don't have much in the way of artillery, which is too bad. But I do have 2 free guns that I can put into my army. And for reputation, I can get these palmettos. Now, that general is a little hidden treasure. That's a 1-star general with an enormous amount of experience. I can't get him right now because if you drop below 24 reputation, you lose, your entire army starts to lose morale. And if I got that general right now, my army would lose 2 morale per unit. So I can't afford it. But next turn, that becomes my general, and he's going to replace my little avatar here who is useless to me. Because 1, he's not the best general on the field, and 2, he has that stupid perk for supply, and that supply perk is completely useless to me. There's a much better perk I want, and the general that I'm going to buy with reputation next turn is going to get that perk and going to be my first corps commander, and he's going to be a 2-star very soon because he's going to come to me with a ton of experience. So what you need to do if you want to merge units is you have to get all of the men in your manpower pool consumed into units. So when you dissolve your units, you can then merge them and they keep for free all of the experience they have. Now, I'm really torn here because one of the things I always do is I always go into battle with my supply wagons full. But those are some great officers I would love to buy. And I'm really torn on having less supply and buying a whole bunch of those officers. And in hindsight, I should have bought a bunch of officers and backed off of supply just for this battle. But pretty much, yeah, the supply wagon symbol on this artillery is really terrible. It doesn't do much for you, but I need every unit to have stamina. So the artillery unit that has stamina, I'm going to keep that one. But the other unit that has supply, I need to disband and reform that so I can give it stamina instead of the completely useless supply symbol. So I'm building, here's my free cav unit, and all it costs me is what cav normally costs, and the weapons are free. And that's great. I'm really happy with that. I want to start getting some experience from my cav unit so I can have a pretty decent sized unit going into the first battle of Bull Run. And this will be a nice start. So, and it doesn't cost me very much. I'm not paying for the weapons. So that is really cool. Now, to get rid of everybody else in the supply pool, in the manpower pool, what I need to do is to absorb 2,900. So that's about 3 units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 3 units and then dissolve my 2 infantry units, Loomis, and the other one that have experience and combine them. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do. I'm going to create 2 infantry units, and I have plenty of, I have just about 1,000 1842s, but notice if I can spend a lot of money if I don't think about what I'm doing, and I'm just showing you how much this would cost if I built a full-size unit of 1842s. That would be a waste of money. I want to do this at almost no cost. And I'm going to spend almost no money in this entire, well, pretty much every building phase, every time I'm in camp. I'm going to make use of what the game gives me and what I can get with reputation. So yeah, one of the things that you absolutely have to get right is building the best possible chain of command. And the thing that I would tell you right off the bat is your avatar needs to go away. It's probably going to have the wrong perk, and even if it has the right perk, it is not going to be the best officer in your army. So the way you build the most efficient army is you put the best officers at Corps Command and the next best officers at Division Command. If you get that upside down, you're going to really hurt the effectiveness of your army in battle. So, and a lot of people get that wrong. They'll get 3-star generals and put them in units, and that is absolutely a disaster for your army. So never ever do that. The highest ranking officers go in the biggest command positions because that's how you influence the command bar on your unit. And by influencing the command bar on the unit, you influence all the other attributes that you have. And you get stars, unit stars faster. So that's what you want to do. And my little avatar here, Brigadier General something Compass, ends up being the 4th Division Commander in the 4th Corps. 4th Division, 4th Corps. Why? Because he ends up being like the number 16, 17, 18, 19, 19th best general in the army. So he's like number 19. Okay, here's the part where I dissolve the unit and I bring it back for free as one solid unit. And I have 846 is the total number of people. And I have 1842s that I can give it for free. So there we are. And I have a combined unit now, and stamina is the right answer for me. You go with the other symbol if you're going to do hand-to-hand fighting. I'm not. I'm going to do a lot of maneuver, a lot of walking across battlefields, getting in position, a lot of running, and I need stamina. Stamina is what all of my units need to be able to move fast and move long distances. So if you're going to do hand-to-hand fighting, if you're going to do melee, then you need the other symbol. I don't actually want the other symbol. If my units are taking a lot of damage, that's the last thing I want, is for my units to stand in place, and that's what high morale will do for you. You'll stand in place and take casualties. So I always move the best weapons to the best troops, and this is something you have to do. You have to move officers and weapons around between every battle, and the best weapons have to go with the best troops. Medium weapons go to medium troops, and your worst weapons go to your worst troops. And the only number that matters is efficiency. Higher efficiency units get the best weapons, and lower efficiency units get the worst weapons. So in this case, my best weapons I have are the palmettos, and that goes to my best unit. And now I'm going to show you the difference between if I gave them veterans or rookies. And the effect that this has on the efficiency. So if I give this unit too many troops, it'll really drop the efficiency down, and I don't want to drop it too far. So it's a balance between how many troops do I give this unit, and how does it affect efficiency. And I never want to lose a unit star, but I'm always watching the efficiency. And the other thing you want to pay attention to is you never want to have any red in that efficiency bar. If there's red in the efficiency bar, that means that you have an officer who's not high enough at a command level to command a unit at that size. So you have to get a better officer. So in all of these units, the units are pretty small. I can have majors and lieutenant colonels command them without any difficulty because they're small. But if these were 2,500, you'd see a big red section of the bar on efficiency, and that would mean that the officer isn't of high enough command level, and you have to get a better officer. So you never build units that are so big that you have red in the efficiency bar. So what I'm doing now is I'm moving these units around. If one of your units loses a commander, they really drop in their performance, efficiency, stamina, morale, all collapse. And so what you want to do is you want to be able to merge units. Anytime a unit loses a commander, you want to be able to merge it with a unit who does have a commander, so they have a commander present. So what I've done is I've put all my infantry units in one division so they can all, if I happen to lose 2 commanders, I can still merge, I can still merge units without a commander into units that do have a commander, and that'll work out just great. And here's something that is really, really important, I think, and that is supply wagons. Max out your supply wagons as soon as you can, and always take full supply wagons to the battlefield. It's the single most important thing you can do. And if you hover over the supply wagon symbol here on the screen, it'll say the worst thing that can happen to your units is run out of supply. And it absolutely is. You will really improve your performance in battle if you just keep your units supplied. And the number one thing you can do to improve your game is just fill up the supply wagons and keep your units in supply during the battles. So I'm able to get my supply wagon full in my first battle after my first camp. I'm really happy about that. And that is really going to be huge. And yeah, I want to bring as many full supply wagons as I can into every battle. The only 2 things, bit of data that matter, everything else is completely useless to you in fighting. The only 2 bits of data is what weapon does this unit have and what's the efficiency of the unit. Those are the only 2 bits of data. You can see what corps or what division or corps a unit is in just by clicking on it. So that's useless. Giving them funny names is fun, but doesn't help you fight. For fighting, you need to know what is the weapon and what is the efficiency. There's a huge difference between a unit that has an efficiency of 31 and a unit that has an efficiency of 10. There's a huge, huge difference between a unit that has 6-pounders and a unit that has 10-pound ordnance cannon. And you need to make decisions. It's really helpful if you know if this is a 10-pound unit or a 6-pound unit. If this is a cav unit that's a skirmisher unit, or if this is a cav unit that's for melee. If this is a unit that has 1855s or 1842s, that's a huge, huge difference. And so that's what you need to have on the unit so you can make decisions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the efficiency on every unit in every battle so you can see how the units go up in efficiency between battles. And I'm going to do that for you because just out of the generosity of my heart. So stay tuned, and we're going to go into our first battle with an army that we built. Thanks.